There are so many factors that go into how to price your Pokemon cards. This is not an exact science, and there are so many nuances that go into selling collectibles. So today, we are going to dive into those nuances. Hey everyone, welcome to the Break Room. As always, thank you so much to my subscribers. I truly appreciate all of you. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that button, ring the bell, and join us in the Break Room for a well-earned break. I'm planning something fun for when I hit 1,000 subscribers, and if the channel keeps growing at the rate that it has over the past few weeks, we'll be there by January. I'll do my first live stream, so as soon as we hit 1,000 subscribers, I will let you all know what we're doing and when to plan for it. Just a little hint, it will involve vintage cards and a giveaway. A few weeks ago, I did a video on how to determine if a card has value. This video is going to be similar, but we'll focus on setting a price point for a card so that you can sell it, whether it's worth 99 cents or $99. The very first thing you need to understand is that a card is only worth how much someone is willing to pay for it. You'll hear me say that a lot on this channel. Now, my goal as a seller is to find the person who's willing to spend the most for a card. If I want to continue selling cards, I have to make a profit from selling cards. But I also understand that buyers set the market, so I need to balance my needs as a seller with the needs and wants of card collectors and TCG players. Again, there are so many factors that go into pricing a Pokemon card. I want to go into 4 of those with you that you will need to understand in order to price and sell an individual card or even an entire collection. First, market values, then card conditions, then marketplace values, and then finally, trust. All right, I'm going to walk you through a quick example of how to price these 4 cards through the lens of the 4 specifications that I just mentioned. The first thing we're going to do is look at eBay. To get a good idea for what a card's current market value is on eBay, we're going to search the card using terms like the card name, the number, and the card set. And then we'll filter by sold items to form a price point based on recent sales. Now these are all cards from the 1999 base set, and they're from the Shadowless print run. So in order to find these cards on eBay, for example this Gyarados, I'll search Gyarados, the card number 6 out of 102, and base set Shadowless. But what we're searching for is the sold listings. All right, this is going to be even harder now because I'm weird and I chose Shadowless cards for this example. Determining the market value for a Shadowless card on eBay is going to be a little tricky because you have to understand the nuances of the base set print runs. For example, this first listing here is not a Shadowless Gyarados. It is a base set unlimited Gyarados, but they sold it as a Shadowless Gyarados. Based on what we're seeing here, the Shadowless Gyarados cards that are in decent shape are selling between $30 and $50. If we've got one that's in lightly played condition, we'll probably put it at the higher range of these cards since we can assume that none of these are near mint Gyarados cards. Then we'll do the same thing for the rest of these cards. Based off of the majority of the Shadowless cards that we ran through, I'm going to say that it's around $30 on eBay. Whew, that's sealed. All right, the Machamp would be between $25 and $30, with some listings going as high as $62. And then with Nidoking around $40 as well. If you haven't downloaded the TCG Player app yet, do that now. It is a really great tool, and we're going to use that for the next step. In the TCG Player app, the collection tool lets you create collections of cards that you either want or own and assemble them based on their price points and card conditions. So let's create a new collection based on these 4 cards that I have right here and determine what they might be worth based off of the TCG Player market values versus what we saw on eBay. All right, this new list I am going to call YouTube Fun Times. just for fun. And the cool thing about this is it has a scanner so that you can take pictures of the cards, or you can enter it manually. I'm just going to enter it manually for now because that'll be faster for what I'm doing right now. First up, we'll have Gyarados. And the cool thing is that it comes up with the cards and their sets right away. So I know I'm going to click on Gyarados, base set Shadowless, and then Hitmonchan, base set Shadowless. I don't even need to fill out the rest of the card. Machamp. This one might be a little bit harder to find because it's not in the Shadowless database on TCG Player. So we'll have to go through and find the deck exclusives. Machamp, 8 out of 102, base set Shadowless, deck exclusives. There it is. And then we will put Nidoking in. Nidoking base set Shadowless. There it is as well. So then once those 4 cards are in, once your cards are in, you can go through and see the price points. Now we need to go in and adjust these price points based off of card conditions. The condition of the card will be the ultimate factor in determining how much you can actually get for the card, so we need to pay careful attention to it. These 4 cards here, they're all in a lightly played state, so we're going to need to adjust this TCG Player collection to reflect that. So we'll need to go into the Gyarados, for example, change it from near mint to lightly played, which will adjust the price point down from $90 to around $40, which is close to what we were seeing on eBay. Same for the Hitmonchan, change that to lightly played. Machamp as well, lightly played. And finally the Nidoking, change it to lightly played. And then we'll look at the price points based on the card conditions. And they are looking pretty similar to what we were seeing on eBay, around $30 to $40 for some of them, $20 to $30 for others. And again, we're seeing here that depending on the marketplace that you're selling in, the card will be valued at a different price point. And that brings us to the next point, which is the nuances of each marketplace that you would want to sell your card in, and determining which one is the best for you. There are a lot of different places to sell Pokemon cards. The 2 biggest marketplaces that I've already mentioned are TCG Player and eBay. Now when it comes to the nuances of where to sell your cards, this is probably the space where we could spend the most time talking about how and where to sell your cards. I don't want to spend too much time getting into the weeds of all of these different nuances because it could go on for an hour or more. But the things that you do want to be aware of when deciding to sell your cards are the things that affect your price point and the things that affect your margin. Things that affect your price point are recent sales history. So on TCG Player and eBay, we saw that the same card had a different price point based on where you're selling it. If you have a specific card and you want to maximize your earnings for that card, you're going to want to sell that on the space that gets you the highest profit margin. Now, the things that affect your margins are things like seller fees and shipping costs and little nuances like seller protections even. eBay has a really great service for selling and shipping individual trading cards with a 57-cent stamp that comes with a tracking number so that the seller and the buyer can track the transaction from shipment to arrival, which protects both you and the buyer. TCG Player doesn't have that. However, TCG Player seller fees are lower than the seller fees on eBay, so you may have a higher profit margin on TCG Player, even if your price point on TCG Player is a little bit lower than what you might price it at on eBay. So these are all things that you need to consider when deciding where to sell your cards. Now, you don't even need to sell your cards on TCG Player or on eBay. If you have a big collection, you might want to find somebody in person to buy the whole thing or sell them all to a local gaming store. Those have different pros and cons as well. For example, if you sell those cards to a local gaming store, you're probably going to get much less than the eBay or TCG Player market value for those cards because the gaming store is probably going to buy them at around 60% of the market value so that they can then go sell them at market value or around market value and turn a profit on those cards. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. If you don't have a seller presence online anywhere and you haven't built up a customer base or trust or any of that, it's really hard to start selling a lot of cards and a lot of expensive cards. So selling them to a gaming store might be your best option. You can also do things like list your cards on Facebook or Craigslist or other online marketplaces rather than selling to a local gaming store or trying to get set up as a seller on eBay or TCG Player. There are lots of pros and cons for which marketplace you decide to sell your cards at. The most important thing is that you do your research and determine the best place for you to sell your cards. The final thing I want to talk through is trust. Now, this is the most subjective of the 4 subjects that we've walked through tonight, but arguably the most important. It's easy to determine the condition of a card, easy to find the market value of a card, and it's not even that hard to find the right place to sell your card. Trust is an intangible thing that takes time to build, and if someone doesn't trust you yet, it will be really hard to convince them to buy something from you. If your goal is to get started selling online and you want to sell online a lot, the best thing you can do is start earning trust. And you can do that by being kind, having integrity, going above and beyond for your buyers by adding a little something extra in to thank them for their business. And once you've earned that trust, you'll find that people are more willing to pay even a little bit more than market value because they know what to expect. All right, I'm going to list these cards on eBay. That is all for now. Thank you so much for joining me in the break room today. If you haven't yet, subscribe to this channel, leave me a comment, like the video. Those small things make a huge difference and I do appreciate it. Thanks again for watching and I'll see you in the next one.